Hey guys, how's it going? This video is all about reading of IELTS, but before watching this video, I really recommend that you do at least one reading of IELTS and then watch this video. If you do that, you will have a much better understanding of all the question types. Good luck. So in the very beginning, let me change my pointer to laser pointer. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that the reading passage, the reading skill, is 60 minutes long. So the entirety of the reading passage is 60 minutes, and this includes the transfer time. What it means is, let me go towards the listening first. In the listening, the entirety of the listening is for 30 minutes. And you will be given a 10-minute extra at the end of the listening so that you can transfer your responses to the answer sheet. In the reading, this thing doesn't exist, so you don't have any extra time to transfer your responses from the question sheet to the answer sheet. So you're going to have to be reading the passage, answering the questions, and transferring the responses from the question sheet to the answer sheet in the 60 minutes that you're given. So it's not 61 minutes, there's no extra 10 minutes at the end. Do not forget it, because I've seen a lot of candidates thinking it is the same as listening, thinking that they have some extra minutes at the end of the reading section, which they will lose all the scores because they kind of answer the questions on their question sheet, but they never transfer them to the answer sheet, which means it's a 0. So don't make that mistake. Anyway, so 3 long academic passages. So the reading passage, the reading skill, contains 3 long academic passages. I talked a little bit about what the difference between the general module of the IELTS is compared to the academic module. The difference is in the weights of the readings and how they are presented, which means that the questions are the same. There's nothing different between the question types. The questions types are the exact same thing. In academic reading, we have 3 hefty academic passages. They're difficult, they're about academic topics, whereas general training module has 6 smaller passages which revolve around general and tangible topics. So section 1 in general training, instead of 1 long academic passage, is 2 relatively easier passages. Well, if the readings are divided, if the readings are shortened, it makes it a lot easier for the candidate to manage the questions, since he or she will be looking at a much shorter chunk of text. So that is the only difference. We have 3 long academic passages in the reading of academic IELTS. And there are 40 questions, and these 40 questions are scattered all through the 3 sections. So they are like between 13 to 14 questions each section. So that's it about the entirety of the reading. There's not much to it. Let's go to the question types together. Well, before we go to the question types, you need to remember that, as soon as you get a question sheet, you will see the readings themselves. And you will see that there are, some things like, for example, reading passage, whatever number it is, like 1, 2, 3. And there's an instruction here, as it tells you the number of questions that you will be answering based off of this chunk of text that you're given. There's this really large text here and like relatively smaller text here. So what is it that you're looking at? Well, first of all, it tells you what passage you're looking at. This is reading passage 3, which means that this is the last reading a candidate is given. And he says you should spend about 20 minutes on questions 27 to 40, which are based on reading passage 3 below. So we have questions 27 to 40, and you have to read this entire passage and answer these questions, not 26, not 25, only 27 to 40. And it says 20 minutes. Well, this is the rule of thumb, because you have 60 minutes in length to allow yourself to answer all the 40 questions that you're given. Well, the rule of thumb is to dedicate 20 minutes on each reading. It can be different, so you might find one reading much easier than the other two because you already have a lot of background knowledge regarding that reading. So you might spend like maybe 10 minutes or 12 minutes on that section. Perfectly fine. You can just dedicate the rest of the time that you were supposed to work on to the other passages, which might be more difficult. So this 20 minutes is a rule of thumb, but if you spend more time on a reading passage and less time on the other reading passage, perfectly fine. But do not overspend your time. Anyway, so after having read these, we see something like a large text here, and we have the passage here. This is called the title. So the title is given to you 90% of the time. Not 100% of the time. So 9 out of 10 times you're given a title, which gives you a relatively adequate amount of information for you to know what it is that you're looking for, what it is that the text is all about. So without having read the text itself, we read a neuroscientist reveals how to think differently. Well, we haven't read the text itself yet. So what we know this reading is about a neuroscientist revealing how to think differently. So whatever that is, we haven't gotten into the details yet, but we know that this reading passage is about a neuroscientist who has revealed a different thinking, method and so on. So it's like, you know what it is about. So the title gives you a very good amount of information about what that reading text is. Now, after that, there's the prompt. Well, the prompt in this reading is not given. A prompt is basically, imagine this is the title is the largest font, right? And the text is the smallest. Prompt comes in between. Prompt is basically a sentence, a further sentence that gives you further information. So basically, like, imagine there's a blank here. We have read the title, but we haven't read the text, but we see another sentence that is written here and gives us even further information. So some of the readings include prompts, and a prompt is like a bonus on top of what you're given, which gives you like better information, more information about what the reading passage is. Why do we care if there's a prompt? Are we not going to read the text itself? Yes, but not before the questions. So this is what you're going to have to do, because there's a question that a lot of people ask is, do I go to the questions first and then the text, or the other way around? Well, you can, but this particular method here is the best one, the one that you will get a lot of basic, understanding of everything. So you're given the chunk of text, there's a title, you read it, okay, there's a prompt, you read it, okay, I understand a lot about what this reading is about. And then you go to the questions. So you read the title, you read the prompt if there is a prompt, and then you go to the questions. Not the text, the questions. So you go to the questions and then read all the question types and underline the keywords and everything, so to get a much in-depth understanding about what you're looking for when you're reading the text. Because when you're going to the main text, you've already had your, opportunity to read through the questions and underline the keywords and understand what information you're looking for. So, because if you go to the main text and read it and then go to the questions, you've already wasted a lot of time because you didn't know what kind of questions you were supposed to, pay attention to. But when you read the questions first and then go to the main text, it means that when you're reading the text itself, you know what is important and what is not, because you've already looked at the questions and you've underlined the main parts. So what we're gonna do here in this video is gonna be us checking the question types and how to, manage them and so on and so forth. I'm gonna begin with the first one, short answers example. So let me tell you something. These are not in order of importance or difficulty, they're just, there. So the first one could be anything, could be multiple choice questions or sentence endings. So these are equal in, let's call them equal in difficulty because they're all important. They're all important. Every question is as important as the other type of question. So the first one is short answer questions, and these are some examples here. Well, these are very straightforward. You look at the question, what has been found in some fancy food products, where can you find the batch number in the jars, and so on. You can see that these are WH questions and everything you have to find the answer for in the text. And it's really easy because, you can take a look at the question, what has been found in some fancy food products. So we know that, fancy food products are the ones that are going to be talked about in this reading, and then we have to find out what has been found in them. Very easy. Where can you find the batch number on the jar? So we know that there are jars, and where can you find them? You can basically, without having read the reading, first, you can understand, can it be found on the bottom, or on the side, or at the top? So you can already guess what the answer is, and then you just to make sure you go and, read the text itself. Don't make any assumptions, though. Never make any assumptions on what the answer is. Your opinion, your assumption is not important. Never ever assume anything. Every answer that you're looking for is in the text. So if it's not in the text, means that you're doing something wrong. If you're not finding it, don't assume an answer based on your own knowledge. Your own knowledge should not be accounted for here. So the tips that I need to tell you here, the most important tips here, is that the answers appear in the same order as the text. So if you find the question to number 4 in the second paragraph, you know that number 5, 6, 7, and 8 are going to be after that answer. So it's not going to be before. So you're not going to be finding the question, the answer to number 4 in the second paragraph, and then surprisingly find number 5 in this first paragraph. No, they're going to be in order. So this is going to be number 4, and then somewhere after that are going to be number 5, number 6, and number 7, and so on. So the answers appear in the same order as the text. So the one that you find the first, and you just worry about what is after that, not worry about before. Don't give your opinion, just the answer in the text. So assumption, opinion, and your understanding is not important, and is very critical that you refrain from giving your own assumption or opinion. It's really important that you do. So whatever you believe or you understand is not important. So the answer is in the text. And I reiterate, if you don't find it in the text, means that you haven't tried or you're doing something wrong. The answer is always in the text passage. When you find the keywords, always think synonyms. So yes, it's really important, because a lot of people think that, if I read number 7, for example, if you have eaten chicken curry from a jar with one of the batch numbers listed, whom should you contact? Okay, so chicken curry, there's a name. Batch numbers, whom should you contact? So contact is a verb here. Eaten, listed. So these are some words, right? So we kind of immediately automatically assume that these words are going to be repeated. So if I have eaten chicken curry from a jar with one of the batch numbers listed, whatever it is, whom should I contact? So people kind of automatically expect the word you should contact is going to be here in the text, which is not the case. IELTS kind of paraphrases everything. So everything is paraphrased. So contact needs to be underlined, but not expected to be repeated in the text. So contact could be phone, could be reach out to, could be email, could be talk to. So there are a lot of synonyms that could replace the word contact. So when you find the keywords, always think synonyms and paraphrases, not the exact keyword itself. Okay, so the next type of question we have here is multiple choices. So multiple choice questions are 2 types here. If you take a look at this one, number 10, research completed in 1982 found that in the United States, soil erosion, and then we don't have the after that, so we have to find what happens after. So what is the ending to that question or the sentence? Or if you take a look at number 12, there's a question mark here. Which one of the following increased in New Zealand after 1984? So regardless of whether there's a question mark or there's a sentence ending, Well, it's still a multiple choice question. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't increase or decrease in difficulty just because there's a WH questions or not. So you don't have to worry about that. So we call them sentences stems, and these are the questions. So it doesn't really matter. These questions are considered to be a little bit difficult for a lot of candidates since it contains a lot of things to take into account. It's a sentence itself, and we have 4 other choices that we have to read through. So it's a little bit difficult to manage since there are a lot of things to take into account. And some people ask, are there only 4 options? Well, 90% of the time, the most common type of multiple choice questions is 4 options, but there's also types of questions that have 5 or even 6 options, but those are not very common to happen. But if it does happen, if you do have one of those, well, you know that you have to find the answer to those. And sometimes when the 6 types of choices they are given, the question requires you to find 2 options. So it's like not 1 option out of 4, but it's 2 options out of 6. The tips here are you will often be able to eliminate 2 of the 4 answers. So, well, sometimes, well, because it's like you have read the reading and then you come back to the question, and 2 of these options are like obviously not the answer. So because you understand that they're very irrelevant, they're not even remotely about what the text is, talking about. So you immediately eliminate those 2 options. So you're trying to narrow down your chance to finding the correct answer. So some of them, not 2 of them, basically just 1 of them, 100% of the time, very quickly is understood to be not the answer. So you need to eliminate those that are not the answer and focus on the ones that are possible to be the answer. Think about the difference in meaning between the 2 choices, and this will help you get the correct answer. So yes, the meaning and paraphrasing that we talked about in the previous question is very important, because if you, for example, you look at the option A, reduce the productivity of farmland by 20%, yes, we have a lot of keywords here, productivity and farmland and whatever, they're not going to be repeated. So they're going to be paraphrased in the text. IELTS does not make it very easy for you. It makes it a little bit difficult because it paraphrases everything, basically everything that you read. If you're running out of time or you really don't know the answer, have a guess. Just yes, if you're running out of time, you really have no idea what the answer is, make a guess. But make an educated guess. It's like, D is not going to be the answer. So you have like 3 options to have a guess. So just guess the one that you really think is the answer, not the one that you basically have no idea about. Just, pick the one that you really very much think is the answer, but you're not sure. So make an educated guess, not just any guess. The next one is summary completion. Something I need to pause here and tell you something really important, which I forgot to tell you, is if you take a look at here, choose 1 word only from the passage for each answer. This is called the instruction. The instruction should be the first thing you look at and you read and you underline before any of the question types. So remember that title, prompt, question thingy. So after having read the title and the prompt, when you go to the questions, you don't read the questions, you read the instruction. The instructions tell you how many words you're supposed to write. So it says 1 word only, which means that if you write 2 words in each of these blanks, it's wrong. It doesn't matter whether one of the words is right and the other one is wrong, because you've exceeded the word limit. So if it says 1 word only, or no more than 2 words, or no more than 3 words, you know how many limits you have. So it's really important to pay attention to the instructions. You have no idea how many people disregard this part and get the answer wrong. So like you think that, all right, this is easy, and then you find the answer, you write 2 words, and then somehow it told you that it's 1 word only. So you really need to pay attention to this one. Really need to pay attention. So just look at the instruction, underline it, and repeat it in your head, or even a little bit loudly, not too loud in the examination room. It says 1 word, okay? 1 word only. Remember that. Anyway, so we have a summary here. It says how children acquire sense of identity. So this is a summary of not the reading passage, but one of the paragraphs of the passage. So they're not going to give you a summary of the entire passage. They're not going to be that crazy. So it's going to be the summary of 1 or maximum 2 paragraphs out of what, 8 or 7 or 9 paragraphs in the reading passage itself. So you don't worry about if it's like a summary of a large reading passage. No, it's going to be 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs. And second of all, you have 2 types of summary completions. Before I read the tip here, I need to tell you the next type of the 2 types of summary completions are one without a box, in which you're not given anything. You're not giving any like word choices or options to choose from. These blanks need to be entirely extracted by you, so there's nothing that helps you. The other one, however, which is also like a summary completion, it has given you a box, which makes it easier for you to make your choices. So these right here are the options. So look at here, 18, 19, 20, 22, 21, and 22. So there are 5 blanks, and there are what? There are 9 choices. So there are more choices in the box that there are blanks. So these make it a little bit easier, but not too easy. So you don't have to worry about if you're not given one of these boxes. Don't even worry. Let's go back to the previous summary completion. So the tip here that I provided for you, which I consider to be the most important, is should the gap be filled with a verb, noun, adjective, or adverb. So it's really important because you're gonna need a word which grammatically fits this sentence. You can't just put any kind of word that you want, whether it's a noun or a verb or an adjective. So it's like, if you take a look at here, by handling objects or causing the image to move when they face a, so it says face a what? And then there's a period. So there's gotta be a noun here. We can't put an adverb or an adjective here. So there's gotta be a noun. So we know grammatically this blank number 24 requires us to write a noun because of the determiner, a, right here. So if your answer makes the sentence grammatically wrong, then you have the wrong choice or the wrong answer. So if you guess one of the answers was right and you put him here and says it doesn't make sense, well, definitely that is the wrong answer. So pay attention to that. The next tip here, the answers normally come in the same order as the questions. So don't worry. Once again, if you find number 18 in paragraph, let's say C, number 19, 20, 21, 22 are not going to be in paragraph A and B, or they're going to be after that. So find the first one and then just take it easy and find the rest. Alright, so the next type of question is sentence endings. Right here we have passive smoking compared with a non-smoker, a smoker, and then the rest is not given. The American Medical Association and the rest. So we have to find the ending for these 3 numbers, right? So we have a lot of options here. And then like passive smoking includes reviews of studies, argues for stronger action is one of the 2 most preventable causes of death, and so on. So we need to find the endings here. Now, if you take a look at passive smoking, you immediately understand that without having read the reading, some of them are very obviously not the ending for this one. Like passive smoking includes reviews of studies in its reports. This doesn't make sense. Not logically, this one doesn't make sense at all. So you know that this needs to be eliminated when it comes to number 8. So some of them are very obviously not the answer. So you can just basically eliminate them from the answer that you are, looking for number 8. The tips here are the answers are in the same order in the text as they are in the question. So the answer to question 2 will be after the answer to question number 1. So the same thing that we talked about in the previous question type. And don't just match the words, make sure the meaning in the reading text matches. So the same thing here talks about paraphrasing. So it's not going to be the same verbiage or vocabulary found in the reading. Another one which is like a sentence ending, but you don't have any options here anymore. You just have to complete the questions yourself. It's like Von Frisch discovered the difference between dance types by changing the position of the whatever. So you have to find this to be the ending of this particular sentence. And the tip here is when scanning for your answer, make sure you're thinking about the paraphrasing and synonyms. I cannot stress this enough. Reading is all about paraphrasing and synonyms. It's not about repeating and reiterating everything that you read in the questions in the reading passage. So it's really important. The questions and the passage are not different, they're the same, but they're differently presented. So if you see the word difference, you might see the word as, something else. Like if you see the word between, you might see something else in the reading. So the words are going to be changed. Not only the words, also the verbiage or the sentence, like the formation of the sentence is going to be from an active sentence to a passive sentence. But regardless, the meaning is still the same thing. The meaning is the same, but they're differently presented. So the IELTS exam makes it difficult for you. It doesn't make it easy for you to give you the exact words that you read in the questions in also the reading passage. So paraphrasing and synonyms, really important. Pay attention to those. So something I need to tell you about the paraphrasing also, right here, if you take a look at right here, the difference between words in the questions and the words in the reading text, somehow I've provided some examples here. Imagine you see the word about 1900s, but you see the word or the sentence, the early years of the 20th century, which is the same thing. Or records date from began keeping records. Intensive bursts of energy, explosive release of energy. So they're exactly the same. Intensive, explosive, burst, release. Growing international importance, increasing global participation. They are the exact same thing, but they're paraphrased. I know, it might look difficult, and it is difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. It is difficult, but you can get around. Once you do a couple of reading passages and then you do your own paraphrasing, you see that it's not that much of a complicated thing to do. It's not easy, but it's very manageable. So it's really important. The things you see in the questions are not the same thing that you see in the reading passage. So inadequate diet, deficiencies in minerals. They're the same thing, but very differently presented. True, false, not given is the next type of question type we have, which is considered to be a little bit complicated for a lot of candidates. And the why of that is that a lot of candidates cannot distinguish the difference between false and not given. And pay attention. It says, do the following statements agree with the information given in the text? Alright, you choose true if this statement agrees with the information. You choose false if this statement contradicts the information, which is different from the information that you see in the text. Not given if there's no information on this. False, the information that you see contradicts whatever you see in the question. Not given, there's nothing related to this. The tips here: ignore anything you already know about the topic and don't make assumptions. Base your answers on the text only. Once again, I cannot stress this enough. You don't make your own assumptions. It is not you answering the questions, it is you looking for the answer in the reading. So don't make your own assumptions, like you say, I know about this, so yeah, for example, you should not arrive more than half an hour before your allocated starting time in Japan because I've spent some time in Japan and I know this is not true. No. Whatever, really. Just put everything aside, everything you know, even if you know a lot about that particular text, just for a moment, just put it aside and try to find the answer in the reading. Do not make any assumptions. If you have no idea what the answer is, put not given. You probably have no idea because the answer is not there. So if you try and you see that, this type of, this particular question is taking a long time, and you don't want to lose time, trust me, just put not given because, well, you didn't manage to find it. It is probably possible that the answer is not there. So put not given, which is like a best guess scenarios, like the best guess you can make, because you couldn't find it. It doesn't mean it's not given, but it's very possible that it's not given. List of headings. So you have to find the headings for different paragraphs in the reading. So here we have section A. Section A means paragraph A. So we have paragraph A, B, C, D, E is an example that is given, and F. And we have all these headings with Roman numerals, which you have to write in Roman numerals on the answer sheet. And you have to find the answer, the headings for each type of each paragraph. So don't look at the headings first. Don't look at this. Just forget it. This will automatically make you look for specific words in the text rather than the main idea. It's really important because, look, this right here, like the probable effects of the new international trade agreement, some words in this heading might appear to be in section C, and you will automatically assume that, alright, I saw the word effect, and I saw the word international, and I saw the word whatever trade agreement, whether or not in paraphrase, so the answer is section C. No. Just because you see some of the words in one paragraph or two paragraphs doesn't mean that is the heading for that paragraph. So don't look at the headings first. Read the paragraphs. Remember, it is your ability to find the main idea that is being tested, not your ability to find specific information. Instead of reading the headings first, ignore them and get the general meaning of each paragraph first by reading the first and the last sentence. So, well, it says the first and the last sentence, of course, that is for the second time you go back to the reading, which I will tell you later, is you read the paragraphs, and then you understand the gist of that paragraph, what that paragraph talks about. So my suggestion would be to kind of paraphrase that paragraph on your own, like for yourself. So you read the paragraph and then you kind of get what this paragraph talks about. Maybe write a word or two or three or a sentence right beside it, which is like the central idea of that paragraph, right? So paraphrase that paragraph for yourself. Before you look at the headings, see what each paragraph really talks about, and then go to the headings. Headings kind of distract you. Unless you've practiced a lot and you've learned not to take these words into account, like reiteration of these words in the text, you can take a look at the headings. But hey, the words you see in the headings are necessarily not going to be in that paragraph. And this topic here, and this tip here says, use your personalized legend. This is something that I've been using myself, and I've taught this to all my IELTS students. A legend is basically different shapes that you have to use in your reading passage. What that means is, well, they say underline the keywords, right? For example, heading is a keyword, and I underline it. So there's an underline here. Ability is a keyword. Underline here, underline here, underline here. So you underline everything, right? Not everything, like basically 80% of the text is underlined. So everything is a keyword, everything is important. What do I pay attention to? Well, underline needs to be one of the legends that you use. My suggestion is to use one shape for each of these particular words. For example, if you see a name or names of people like Von Frisch or Beethoven or Einstein, use a circle for those names. If you see names of places, draw a star around them. If you see dates like, for example, January or years, 1900s, 1902, I don't know, put a cloud around them. So that underline should be just one of the legends that you use. What is the use of this? Well, if you took a look at this type of question, look at here. Von Frisch is a name, right? So we're gonna have to go for Von Frisch. And Von Frisch has been repeated like 3 times in 3 different paragraphs or 2 different paragraphs. We have read the reading once and then we're just, back to the questions again because we couldn't find the answer. And then we want to go back to the reading. But are we going to read the whole reading again just because of one name? No. You have already used your legend to maybe draw a circle around all the names. Or anything, just, draw some stars. Draw a shape. It's your personalized legend. Nobody cares. Nobody judges you, for whatever shape you've drawn. So imagine like I've put star, around each name. So when I go back to the reading, I'm not gonna read anything. I'm just gonna go for those stars because they're names, and I'm gonna find the one frisch, and then go for that paragraph and see if I find the answer. So this is what the legend is all about. Use your personalized legend, and it will help you. This type of question here is labeling a diagram, which is not very common in the reading test. But you have a diagram in the shape of anything, and then you have sometimes you have these words that are provided for you, but sometimes you're not provided with the words. So if you are, it makes it easier. If you're not, well, you have to look for the words yourself. Identify the type of word, which is like a noun, is it a verb, is it an adjective you need. This will help you find the correct answer. So you have to identify the type of word that you're looking for. The answers do not always come in the same order that the paragraphs are in. And yeah, well here, this one, if you find number 6 in paragraph, let's say 2, number 7 and number 8 might be in paragraph 1. So they're not always in order. And there's basically not much to be said here. All you have to pay attention to is like many of them are descriptions of something. I don't know what it is, like approximate depth in this, centimeters below the surface, whatever it is, like, is it 30, is it 20, is it 15? So you have to write a number here. And so basically, like, whatever it is, like what are these things? Like, you will find the description in the reading. We don't know what the reading is, but you will read it and see what for example, maybe the fingers or the depth of whatever it is. So you will find the answer. Just once again, pay attention to how many words you're supposed to write. If it says no more than 2, don't write 3 words. If it says no more than 1, don't write 2 words. Just pay attention. And that is said, of course, if you're not given a box. Alright, so paragraph matching the question is which paragraphs contain the following information? So which paragraph talks about a comparison of past and present transportation methods? So you're gonna have to find that information in a particular paragraph and find the paragraph. For example, if it's paragraph B and the answer to number 14 is B. The tip here is do this question last. If you do other questions first, you will become familiar with the passage, and this will help you identify the correct information more quickly and easily. Yes, because you need to know what that paragraph includes. This method here is also very useful for the other type of question that we talked about. You might as well put these 2 types of questions for the last part. List of headings and paragraph matching need to be kept for the last part because after having read the whole text and read the passages very carefully, it makes it easier for you to find which paragraph talks about which one of these sentences. And once again, use your personalized legend. It will help you a lot. So thank you very much, guys. This was a relatively long video, but this was like a very summarized video for the reading of IELTS. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be practiced, but these I consider to be the most important tips for the reading, and I hope this has helped you. By the way, if you are a subscriber, please like the video. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our channel and like the video. Thank you very much, and I will catch you guys later.